What would you say in a nutshell your winemaking philosophy, picking philosophy kind of is?
Well, it's shifted some over the years. I mean, I think any, winemakers, you go through your career, so to speak, you kind of evolve, and, my palate gravitates more to wines from Europe. It just always has wines with, lower extraction, higher acidity, lower oak use. I mean, those are the things that kind of I found over the years I was going back and visiting, particularly the Northern Rhone and going to Burgundy, and over the years of being there, influenced the way that I choose to pick and make wines. And I like to consider myself, I guess, a California winemaker who makes wine with European sensibility from the sites that we're sourcing from.
So walk me through the offerings from Copain and kind of the tiers, if you will.
So in 2006, we made our first tous ensemble wine. Tous ensemble means all together. It's a blend all together. You kind of drink all together. I named the winery Copain. It means buddies, friends in French. So it's kind of like we have this kind of French themed naming, which is been challenging over the years. But that being said, that's where it came from. So same with the Chardonnay, the Pinot Noir, the Syrah. It's all meant to kind of be our Bourgogne Rouge, our Côte du Rhône Village, like entry-level wine that's vibrant red fruits, great acidity. There's no new oak on the tous wines, so I think it will continue to kind of be a great vehicle for on-premise, which is what has kind of driven that wine in the past with sommeliers like yourself and others. Absolutely. Who want to put a wine kind of this style by the glass for their restaurant. So
Wells, we've been talking about the sort of three tiers of Copain. We've talked about tous ensemble, which is equivalent to wine from all over a specific area. Then we move into the Les Voisins, Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay, which are from specific, even more selected sites. And then there's the single vineyard tier, which are sites that you essentially custom farm and buy from all through Anderson Valley. So in our glass right now is the Les Voisins Pinot Noir, and it's absolutely delicious, the 2015 vintage. Tell me a little bit about this wine and kind of how it gets put together.
Well, the Les Voisins means neighbors.
Okay.
and French, and trying to keep with the model of making kind of our Chambord village type. They're three vineyards, and they share property lines. And rather than make 4 single vineyard wines, and one of the vineyards we have called Hein, we made a single vineyard wine from 2000 through 2005. So they're vineyards that have potential to be single vineyard wines, but rather than make 4 or more single vineyard wines and add more confusion, the idea is to make a higher end village level wine that speaks to the deep end of the valley. These vineyards are all from the deep end, which are basically past Philo, which I consider even past Riley Heights in the Anderson Valley is where the true deep end is.
We're on to the single vineyard tier now, which is obviously the halo or top end of the kind of Copain story that everyone's going to be telling out there. We've got some Kaiser and O Pinot Noir in our glass right now. Just tell me a little bit about that wine and maybe what your approach is to the single vineyard tier as a winemaker.
Well, I mean, I think as I mentioned earlier, I don't handle the single vineyard wines any differently from a production standpoint, other than the single vineyard Pinot Noirs get 20 to 30% new wood, depending on the vintage and the vineyard and how kind of I pull the blend together. I'm trying to be the least invasive as possible. Yep. The least extraction to me, the better. I think you can tell by the color of this wine. It wasn't any need of any more color extraction. And in a sense, trying to also preserve the aromatics. Again, when I first started making Pinot Noir, I think some people accuse me of being a Syrah maker making Pinot, and I think over the last several years flipping that, being a Pinot Noir maker making Syrah, because I think trying to be a little less invasive. I didn't want to be the lazy winemaker in the beginning, so I'm like, I'm going to punch down, pigeage 3 or 4 times a day, and I was getting a lot of extraction on the wines, and I think that analogy I use with people is like kind of making, when you're making tea, it's like if you take your spoon and mash the bag against the side of the cup, you get these kind of aggressive tannins as opposed to just letting it steep. And then, so that's what I kind of like to think about the
That
wines.
is an awesome analogy, actually.
There's aggressive, like stringent tannins you get from doing that as opposed to just kind of letting it steep, and then, knowing when to like stop the extraction is kind of the key for me. So it's the same for me when it comes to the end of the fermentation, is knowing when you're like, vintages press off a little early, even with like a couple bricks of sugar left, and letting it finish out because of the tannins are getting too aggressive, or they need to go a bit longer past dryness, and allowing it to kind of come together in tank with some tannin polymerization and getting a little bit more. So it's the nature of the vintage, etc.
I'm blown away by tasting all these wines in one setting. It's been absolutely fantastic. So distributor teams out there, get these wines in the bag and get them out, because they are absolutely fantastic and they're a valuable weapon for you. Thank you.